Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and myself, Peter Martin here, joining you on PLZ Soccer. And if you want to join the football family in 2025, then why not hit the subscribe button. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. We are only days into 2025 with the promise of more unique video content for you. And if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. There's lots to discuss on the programme. Of course, the main talking points that everybody over the last 24 hours has been talking about is Rangers win the New Year derby, United rule in Dundee, the Aberdeen slip continues, and Hibs are unbeaten in 5. That's just a few of the topics we'll be discussing, as well as looking at the league table, the fixtures coming up on Sunday as well. Some quick talking points before we get into the meat and bones of Rangers against Celtic. Don't forget you can interact with us and give us your opinion as well on Twitter and of course on our YouTube channel in the comments section below. Try and keep it sensible. First of all, I thought it was really poignant and of course an indication of what life's really about, Ruffy, when two groups of people come together, Rangers board members, Celtic board members, to lay a wreath in memory of the 66 who tragically lost their life in 1971 following a Rangers-Celtic game.
Yeah, I think for the older members of the people who listen will remember that day very vividly. It was a horrible thing for everybody concerned, and it was good the way that the whole of Scottish football got behind it, and it was good that Celtic were obviously laying a wreath as well. I think it was a football time when everybody felt sorry for the people who get caught up in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Other things that we will be talking about throughout the programme, of course, coin throwing. And missile throwing is something that, again, is rearing its ugly head in Scottish football. The coin throwing incident with Arne Engels, it could have taken his eye out. There was also missiles thrown at the Celtic bench. It's been condemned by Rangers. I have the feeling, and I would like to see a situation where if they are apprehended, you should name them, shame them, put their picture out, and then give them a lifetime ban.
Yeah, I think Rangers really need to act strongly on this occasion, Peter. And it's not the first time it's happened in an Old Firm game at Ibrox. I remember the physio get hit with a coin, and then I think Joe Hart picked up some glass bottle or something in his goal mouth. So, and then you've got the coin thrown incident. So it's okay Rangers coming out and saying, you know, they're condemned it and stuff. They've got to take strong action. They've got to find out who it was and make an example of them. Because, you know, it can't happen again. It's, as I said to you, it's 2 or 3 times it's happened at Ibrox in the Old Firm game, and you know, Celtic players, officials need to feel as if they've been safe going to that environment. I
also feel as if, you know, in other grounds as well, we've had incidents like this. I mean, at Easter Road, we've had it at Tannadice, where I think just recently Jim Goodwin suffered a barrage of not only abuse, but missiles raining down on that dugout.
Yeah, he did, and I think James Tavernier got hit at Easter Road over in that corner with the Hibs supporters. So, yeah, it's not just Ibrox, it's throughout Scottish football, throughout the football grounds. And as I said, it's okay coming out and saying we're condemning them and we're going to do something about it. You've got to go and find who it is, make an example of them, ban them for life, and so that's a deterrent for people to do it again, because as I said, it's happening too regular at the minute.
We are a football show, and we are going to get into the football, the results over the last 24 hours. You can give us your thoughts on it as well. And you can also give us your comments in the comments section below. First and foremost, Rangers 3, Celtic 0. Emphatic win. This is what Philippe Clement made of it all.
To win these kind of games, you need to do a lot of things right. So all these things are important, because if you forget one of those or you don't do one of those, you don't get the result. So for sure, the collective defensive job that everybody did, the good structure in that way, but also the braveness on the ball. It's not only that we defended well and we reduced the amount of chances for Celtic, but we created also a lot today, a lot. And we scored also 3 goals, what's also really important, and 3 good goals. So it's all these things together.
Great credit to him. He deserves his day in the sun, because he was under a fair bit of pressure, Ruffy, and I thought the manager got his tactics spot on.
Yeah, I think everybody before the game thought Celtic were going to win the game, and after the game, that's what we'd be talking about. Would he be sacked or would he be there? But you know, he's right. The tactics were spot on right from the very, very start. Every Rangers player to a man played their part, and there was not one failure in that Rangers team. You could see, right, they had a set plan to press Celtic in certain areas, to nullify their danger players, Celtic players, and they did that as well. And Celtic just toiled from start to finish.
Yanis Hadji got the opening goal for Rangers, and I think it's one of those goals that he will remember for quite a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice feeling getting your first goal in an Old Firm game, and me being an attacking player. You want to get that, especially when you play these Old Firm games. But was I thinking of it, or was it in the back of my head? Not exactly. I just take every moment as it comes. I think everybody knows me a little bit more obviously now. I'm a player who likes to play for my attacking players. I like assisting more than scoring, but that doesn't take away that. I know my qualities and I know I can shoot from outside the box. So I'm gonna keep doing that when the opportunities are there.
Nice to score when you're all Daz in the stand.
Yeah, it was, and you've got to give Yanis Hadji a lot of credit. I mean, he was playing with the B team, Peter. You know, he was bombed out through no fault of his own, no fault of any form or anything like that. He was just a contractual situation that meant he couldn't play for Rangers. So I wasn't surprised at that kind of explosion of passion and probably relief that he's back in the big time, you know, because, you know, an international player, guy who played in the Euros, was playing with Rangers B team, you know, and he kept his head down, kept training hard. They came round the table and they got him back into the team, into the first team at Rangers, and you know, for him to score that goal with his dad in the stand must have been a great moment for him after, you know, a tough season so far. So, yeah, I think he's made a difference to that Rangers midfield. He likes to thread balls through. He's creative, and I thought he was a number of Rangers players played really well yesterday, but he was certainly one of them. I thought he had a terrific game.
Yeah, and again, through no fault of his own, but so many Rangers fans might have been thinking, well, what if, Ruffy, if he'd been there earlier in the season?
Well, there's no doubt about it. If he could produce that kind of form, yeah, he'd be an asset to anybody. But as Tom said, he's an international football player. You know, he's got a bit of quality. You know, he's shown that with the teams that he's played at. As Tom said, unfortunately, contractual, whatever it was behind the scenes, wouldn't let him play. But I'm sure the Rangers manager, will be hoping that he can keep that form until the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but for me, the player of the day was Raskin. I just thought he, I mean, it's the perfect way to describe him. He just ratted about in the middle of the park, made sure that nobody really was able to settle on the ball, and he provided that wee bit of quality as well when he laid it off for Hadji for the goal.
Yeah, another international player, you know, that unfortunately has some bad injuries and not had any extended run in the team, you know, which must be a horrible thing to be in. Get your form and then you get injured and you're out for a month, and then, you know, you can't convince everybody you should be in the first team. But certainly, yes, they were the main two in that midfield that were causing Celtic all the problems.
And to be captain of Rangers for the day, it was certainly a day to remember for him.
At the end of the day, it's only 3 points, so we need to repeat this the next in 3 days. But today was a special afternoon for me because my family was there. My father's not been in the stadium for many times. I think it's the second time he came to watch me. So yeah, I was really proud today. So, and the game was perfect. We played a great game. We enjoyed. So it's gonna be a day I'm gonna remember my whole life.
Well, that's a great thing about it. You can invite your family, especially when there's no away supporters, because each player is allowed 3,500 tickets each to send out to all their mates.
Yeah, as I said, that was only probably downside. You know, there was no away support, but yeah, I thought probably the best game I've seen him for Rangers, Peter. I thought, you know, off the ball, you know, as you said, he ratted about in Celtic midfield players' faces. On the ball, he showed quality. He looks fitter now. I thought when he first came into the team, I thought he couldn't get about the pitch, maybe carrying a wee bit of weight. He looks slim, he looks trim. You know, playing for 90 minutes, and you know, he's not a big player in terms of stature, but he gets wired in. You know, he's physical in there, and Rangers won that physical battle in the middle of the park. So, yeah, captain, a bit of proud day for him, proud day for his family, and you know, what an occasion for him to play really, really well and get man of the match when he's captain for Rangers.
Yeah, I don't think there were too many past marks for Celtic, but for Rangers, Hadji, Cherny, Barami, Raskin, And of course, the stats don't lie. 24 shots for Rangers and only 4 for Celtic.
Yeah, it's a long time since you've seen a kind of one-sided game in terms of in Rangers' favour in an Old Firm game. They haven't beaten Celtic for a long time, in terms of games. So, to put in that type of performance, as I said, hit the bar, hit the post. It could have been 4 or 5-0 to Rangers, and nobody would have any complaints. So, yeah, they've got to carry that on. They've obviously got 2 tough away games coming up: Hibs away, Dundee away, and Celtic have got 2 home games. So, listen, they've got to just keep winning games. Hope Celtic slip up. I don't think they will, but. This game will count for nothing if they go and drop points at Easter Road.
It was interesting, Raskin saying it was easier to play against Celtic than it was Motherwell and St Mirren, because they sit in and Celtic don't sit in. Celtic are wide open. There was more spaces in the park. There was more room for the midfield to move about. So it was quite an interesting point that he made. That sometimes it is very, very difficult to break down well defensive teams.
I think the one thing we've got to point out with this, you look at anybody who played for Celtic, maybe Cameron Carter-Vickers
He played well, Peter.
getting past marks, but other than that, sometimes in these games when you look at the defeated team, it's about maybe they were off it. I think the great credit goes to Rangers for the way they were on it.
Yeah, I think they've got to give Rangers credit. Okay, you can say Celtic were poor, but I always like to give the team that wins the game credit. I think Rangers got the tactics spot on. They crowded Callum McGregor. They've done it twice now. They're unlucky in the final. They've done it again at the weekend. They get into Callum McGregor's face. It was similar to, I think, Steven Gerrard done it with Scott Brown. I think Scott Arfield dropped into him a couple of games, and particularly at Ibrox, nullified Scott Brown. Rangers done that with Callum McGregor yesterday, and they got a lot of joy from it. So, I think they've got to give all the credit to Rangers. Celtic were poor. I thought the 2 Rangers fullbacks were excellent as well. Maeda and Kuhn have been excellent this season, very, very good. And they never got kicked yesterday. As soon as the ball get played out to them, the 2 fullbacks were right on them.
And this is Yilmaz in the right back
Yeah,
position.
I thought he had a great game as well, against Maeda. He was really brave. He got up on top of him, didn't let Maeda turn and run at him. And it was the same this side, Kuhn. I thought Jeffrey dominated him as well. So, I think all over the park, Rangers were much better than Celtic.
Brendan Rodgers, this is what he had to say, obviously, on that defeat. He hasn't tasted it too often, but I didn't think we were so aggressive and had that quality in our game. I can look at it from 2 perspectives. I can analyse the game today and see that we weren't very good and the better team won. So I can accept that. The bigger picture, we reached the halfway point in the season, 11 points clear. Players have been absolutely first class up until this point in so many ways. And that, I think, is the key issue here, Ruffy. I can remember, covering so many games when Rangers were winning 9 in a row. You may well have had games where Celtic dominated but couldn't get the win, or you may well have had Celtic getting a win in a game that ended up being meaningless because Rangers were so far ahead. And the flip side here in 2024 is this is a Celtic side that nobody thinks they're not going to win the title.
No, you're right, but you got to enjoy the day, and I'm sure that's what the Rangers manager, the players, they've been under so much criticism throughout the season, some of the performances, and quite rightly so. But when you get a performance like that, you've got to enjoy every minute of it. But Brendan Rodgers is right. The game's about a whole season. It's not about one game, so they'll have to dust themselves down and pick it back up again, and we'll have to wait and see if that happens.
Alistair Johnstone obviously picked up on the point we were talking about earlier, guys, with regards to the coin throwing incident. I saw that Arne Engels got hit just above the eye, and it's an unfortunate situation. We're just lucky that it didn't hit him right in the eye. I've played in some other places in Central America where they throw more than coins at you. You feel pretty safe here. It's humans out there, someone's son. So let's refrain from chucking things at a guy's head. And I think that's the key issue that even players have highlighted, that maybe, I don't know anybody in their right mind who goes into a game and thinks, as a spectator sport, I am going to throw something at a player and it could injure him.
Yeah, it's bang out order, Peter. And particularly when Rangers are winning the game comfortably. It's been a brilliant performance from your team. You're 3-0 up. The game's in the bag, and you
even
think
if it's 0-0, Tam.
Yeah, even if any score, but particularly at that point, listen, people get frustrated. If you're 3 or 4-0 down, then it's different from being 3 or 4-0 up. And I just think it's bang out order. It's happened before, as we said, it happened before in Scottish football. I remember playing in Edinburgh Derby and Ian Murray got a half bottle of Glen's vodka, empty, thrown at him, onto the park and just whizzed by his head. I remember that as well. So it's been going on for a long time. Ruffy will probably remember things getting tossed on. So it happens in football, and he's very fortunate that it just happened just below the eye, because if that hits him eye and takes his eye out, the guy's career could be over. So it's Yeah, bang out order, and let's hope that Rangers come together with the police and find out who it was.
Okay, thanks to so many of you for joining us, Ian and James as well. Total dominance yesterday, says Gary. Well done to Rangers. Stephen Kirkwood said, the poorest Celtic performance I've seen in a very long time, and I mean a long time. Hi to Tommy from Thailand. We haven't actually heard from Tommy in such a
we
long
haven't.
time.
But obviously he'd be watching that game as well. I think there's big supporters clubs over there. And I forget, is Tommy Celtic supporter?
I have
I'm
no
not sure.
clue whatsoever.
Anyway, no, the big supporters clubs over there for both teams, and I'm sure they'll be watching the game there.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned that, somebody will probably be researching Tommy right now and looking into his complete background and his history, Ruffy. But the good thing from our point of view is he watches the programme. Tommy, we're delighted. We hope you had a great Christmas and a good New Year. Thank you to so many people who have given us their opinion on this one. Hugh Scott, who is a Rangers fan, we know Hugh. He's been with us a long, long time, and we hope you're fit and well, Hugh. Happy New Year, Peter, Tam and Ruffy. Great result and performance yesterday. Didn't see that coming, and it's only one game, but needs to be a starting point for the second half of the season. And the reason I'm reading that out is because it's very much a point that we have to discuss now, because the implications of it all are, as Nico Raskin pointed out, it's only 3 points. So what needs to happen now? Is it a case of Philippe, Clement then knocking the door of the board and saying, listen, I told you so. We just needed to get things right. We're starting to do that. Can you give me money in the transfer window?
Yeah, it's been a weird season for Philippe Clement. I think at times the Rangers supporters have really got behind him and thought he's a man to take us forward. And then after those two away games over Christmas period, a lot of them want him out. Now they're probably thinking, So he's been in and out. It's been like hokey-cokey with Phil Clement. But
we've got Rangers fans who work with us, and it's been a roller coaster.
It has.
It's been, we're back. We're back.
Yeah, it has. It has been a roller coaster season. The Spurs performance, was fantastic, and then you go and you get beat off St Mirren away. So it's been really inconsistent. I think that he will go into the board now and say, listen, can I give you a bit of help? Listen, I think that probably the league's gone this season, but we can build, we can get closer to Celtic, we can look ahead to next season. The Scottish Cup's still up for grabs as well, Peter. There's a trophy up for grabs. So yeah, I think he goes in with a stronger hand, obviously, than if they got beat yesterday. He's probably looking at maybe getting out the door or even a draw. So, and I think Brendan Rodgers is probably the same. I think he'll get in and chat with the door and go, we need strengthened as well. We've got a big Champions League game coming up, possibly a knockout game. So I think both managers in the back of that game will get in with chat with the door and hoping to get more funds.
Do you think, I'm posing the question to you, Ruffy, it's a good win for him. He's delighted. It's a bit of positivity around him rather than Philippe Clement constantly trying to pass across a message to everyone that nobody, when you lose a game, nobody really listens to you anyway. But is it a stay of execution for him? Because quite simply, going into the match, Rangers have been poor in games. They've been dropping points against teams that they shouldn't have dropped points. Sometimes they've been, Motherwell, they were 2-0 down, Ruffy. So is it a situation where he has to deliver, a message that his team can go on a run now, can produce that same intensity?
No, I think if anything, he's proved on a one-off game they are capable of matching Celtic on any given day. I think the theory that he has, they're no head and shoulders above us on a one-off game. I think he's now got everybody believing that is the case after the cup final, and obviously yesterday, and there's another game to come up. But at the beginning of the season, the main prize is the league. That is the prize possession. That is the one that brings you 40 million at the end of the season. So that had to be the target at the beginning. It never happened particularly well for him then. So I think this season he has muted, forget about this season, let me get the rebuild going, and next year will be the year. But these results yesterday are the only results that will keep people hanging on to him.
Can I just say something before we talk about the Celtic implication here? And thanks to so many people who have mentioned, and given us their thoughts on the game. Again, we'll try and read out as many as possible. But you've got to give the Rangers manager credit for one line that we would have all, right across the media, have hammered him for, is after the defeat, he did mention, after the Celtic defeat at Celtic Park, we will see you at Ibrox in January and it'll be a different story. You must give him credit, Tam, for that.
Yeah, he did. He backed it up, Peter. He's backed it up with a win. Obviously, other results have not been particularly great for him, but you know, he seems to have Celtic's number the last couple of games. Rangers have scored 6 goals against Celtic in 2 games. You know, there's not many teams do that. I mean, you look at the overall picture, so he's found something, a weakness in that Celtic team, whether that's tactically or defensively. You know, but it's other games, Peter. Celtic, you know, we know Celtic are very consistent. They'll go to St Mirren away, Motherwell away. They'll beat all those teams. And Rangers have got to do that as well. Next 2 games coming up, Hibs away, Dundee away, go and pick up 6 points. You would expect Celtic with 2 home games to pick up 6. And then just try and win every game between now and the end of the season and go into next season with momentum. So, yeah, he's right. You've got to give him a lot of credit. That's a monkey off his back as well. No, a lot of Rangers supporters are thinking, well, we can't beat Celtic. Until we get a manager in that can beat Celtic, we're not going to win anything. And that yesterday just gives everyone, I think, at Ibrox and the support a wee bit of confidence if they come up against Celtic again in the Scottish Cup or even later on at Parkhead in the season in the league, that they can turn them over.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing for Rangers are you're looking at 11 points and you're saying the league's won. I think in any other season...
It's 12 really with the goal difference.
But in any other season, if you had a strong Aberdeen, a strong Hibs, a strong Hearts, Rangers supporters would be looking at, they could drop points against them. But that's not the case this year because they 3 teams aren't producing any consistency whatsoever when they come up against Celtic.
Giving Rangers a lot of credit, I think it was a great performance. I think they deserve credit. The manager certainly deserves, as you mentioned there as well, Tam, all the plaudits. Came close in the cup final, didn't quite get there. But that was a resounding win and some superb performances for Rangers on the day. The flip side now is for Celtic. A lot of maybe fans looking and saying, well, wait a minute, you know, apart from anything else, Trusty, Engels and Ida, big buys, all 3 of them were on the bench. Did he get it? Did he get the team selection right?
Well, he's just put out there that Engels wasn't feeling well in the morning. You know, he had a flu virus or something, so he said he couldn't do the 90 minutes. But Brendan Rodgers is so reliable in Kyogo. You know, the goals that he scores against the big teams is there for everybody to see. So I just thought sometimes he waits too long to change it. You know, I think there was no service to Kyogo the way Celtic were playing. He was never ever going to get a chance, you know, because the ball wasn't coming to him in the box. So I think he could have made a decision there a wee bit earlier, you know, to go on the park. I don't know the situation with the centre half. I just can't get my head around that one. I think Brendan Rodgers is the only person that can come out and tell everybody why he made that change, you know, and why he hasn't played again, because he's certainly, in my mind, a better player than Scales.
Well, it's obvious why he made that change, Ruffy, because you only have to listen to what a manager says post-match in a game. You deal with the facts of what they tell you. And he basically said at the end of the game a couple of weeks ago, why did you take Trusty off? And he says, I took him off because he wasn't getting the ball forward in the cup final. That's why he put Scales on, because he comes out and he plays the ball out there. Now, Scales is not flavour of the month with a number of Celtic fans. And if the general insight that we have into what Celtic are looking at is they're looking for a winger and a left back, and there's nothing like throwing a story out the next morning after you've been battered by your greatest rivals. Let's add a wee bit of fuel to the fire here, and somebody puts out Kieran Tierney's on the way.
Yeah, listen, I understand why Scales is in the team. You're right. I think the cup final, Trusty was poor. His use of the ball was poor. And I think that he brought Scales in. Scales done well in that game, and then they've had 3 clean sheets, Peter. Dundee United, St Johnstone, Motherwell. So Scales has done nothing wrong in those 3 games, so that's why he's played. I think Trusty will be back in the team, because I think Scales had a dreadful game, really poor. And I think that Trusty will be back in the team. But you're right, I think Engels not really hit the ground running. Adam Ida, brilliant on loan. £9 million, doesn't look a £9 million. I think Ida's the type of guy, for me, as an ex-striker that needs to play every week. I don't think he can come in and out the team. I think Kyogo can do that. I think Kyogo's he can come in, he's naturally fit. I think Ida needs to play 90 minutes every week. He's a big unit of a boy. I think bringing him in for 20 minutes, Kyogo playing, then bringing him back, you know, a couple of weeks later, that's no good for Adam Ida. But that's the way it's going to be at Celtic in terms of squad rotation. But I think if you're a Celtic fan, you're looking at those three big buys and you're thinking they've not really hit the ground running so far.
Yeah, and if we could debate just before we move on to the other great games that were on offer in the Scottish football, if you were looking at a transfer window, if it was me and I was looking at Rangers, I'd say potentially a right back. There's a wee suggestion of Ryan Kent. I can't see that happening. I don't know why. you know, whether there's some kind of a love affair with him. I thought he was at times a sand dancer for Rangers. But if it was me and I was looking at the Rangers lineup and I was thinking of two players that are a necessity, one possibly a right back because they seem to have had enough of Tavernier, and the other one is a striker.
I think they're definitely the striker, Peter. Igamani's a work in progress for me. He's raw. Didn't think he had a great game. Yesterday was in and out of the game. Dessers is, I think he's on his way out, either in January or end of the season. So I think Rangers definitely the striker, right back as well. Yep, I think they definitely the right back as well. Kent, I think the Rangers fans are split with that one. I think that he was brilliant to stop 10 in a row under Steven Gerrard. European performance, he's superb. You know, but towards the latter end of his time there, he went off the boil and just left on a free. So, is he better than what they've got? Possibly. So, I don't think there's any harm in Rangers maybe getting him in, having a look at him in training or whatever. And Philippe Clement makes his mind up and they'll get him for nothing. So, we have to wait and see. But I think definitely for Rangers, for me, they need a number 9.
Yeah. If I was looking at Celtic, Ruffy, and I was making changes, there's no doubt. I mean, listen, we were talking about that story about Tierney coming back because we know his dad, and you know he wants to come back. It's a story. I mean, if somebody actually comes out in the next couple of weeks and says we told you so, I'm going to tell them to take a flag to themselves, because everybody and their granny knows that he wants to come back. So Tierney's one. I think Celtic are short of a good centre half alongside Vickers, and also I think, you know, a winger and a striker. I know that's going to amaze you, but I think a winger and a striker.
Well, definitely a winger, because it proved the other day there when the two wingers aren't performing, you need somebody of that quality sitting on the bench to come on.
It's not Yang.
And it's not Yang.
No.
And it looks as if the boy Palma is it?
Yeah, I think
he looks he's out the door as well. So that is obviously, there's something to be working. I think you've got to give that boy Trusty a chance. I mean, he didn't pay that money for him without seeing the quality he had. I know a lot of players take time to settle in, but I think you've got to persevere with him in Cameron Vickers. But yeah, striker, to this day, I always remember Rangers and Celtic at the top of their game having at least 4 strikers that they can choose just now, and I think both of them have only got 2. You know, and that's not the way to win things.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I don't know about you, but I love the fallout from a Rangers Celtic match, because you've got one half who slaughter players and say get them out, sell them, and then you get now in social media. I don't know if you've seen it. They go through the entire squad and go keep, sell, you know, maybe, but that's the nature of it. And if you think it's any different anywhere else, then you're wrong. Because up in Dundee, their world doesn't revolve around Celtic and Rangers. Their world revolves around Dundee and Dundee United. I don't know about you, but I certainly enjoyed the derby. It just had that feel as if United were going to pop up with something, which they did. Here are the two managers involved.
Kevin Holt does brilliant in the wide area to put a ball across the face for Sam Dalby, who's, you know, more often than not this season, being in the right place at the right time to go and tuck that one away into the bottom corner, and you know, just a brilliant way to win it again. You know, similar to the Aberdeen game. We speak about last minute winners. The supporters love it, and we as players and staff certainly enjoy the moment as well.
Devastated, absolutely devastated. It's a derby, you know. And as much as I praise them, you know, and I'm always praising them for everything they do. We found a way to win a game on Saturday. The previous game against St Mirren, we found a way to lose that, and we shouldn't. You know, we're too often this season we've been in winning positions, and we should see the game out.
Yeah, so two managers there reflecting on it. Ruffy, I know you're a man who loves to talk about handballs, so will Kevin Holt feel slightly aggrieved?
It sort of came over the other forward and sort of fell onto his arm. I don't think there was much he could do about it. We've seen them being given, you know, in unnatural position. I don't think it was that, you know, that obvious. So no, I wouldn't have given a penalty for that.
No, you're not happy about it?
No.
Tam?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was soft, Peter. I thought it was soft. Obviously Murray sticks it away, but I thought it was quite a soft penalty, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. You know what we're like. Sometimes we can be guilty of being, and fans are like this, football purists. Ever since Pep Guardiola started building the Barcelona side that is the greatest club side I've ever seen, we all like this, nice little triangles. But Dundee United, have decided to go down the Rory Delap video and just launch it. And boy, did Ross Graham launch it in to get the equaliser.
Yeah, I think it's a weapon, Peter. It's something that you use. I remember Robbie Nielsen used to do it in the Edinburgh derbies when I was at Hibs. He had a long throw on him, Rory Delap, who you just mentioned there. And it's been, I remember the guy Dave Challoner, was it Tranmere Rovers, used to have a big long throw as well.
Right, yeah.
Aye,
Good shout there, Tom.
Aye. So, listen, it's hard to defend against, particularly if you've got big centre-halves and you bring people up. So, yeah, they get the goal for that. And I thought it was going to peter out to a 1-each draw, to be honest, Peter. But big boy Holt, you'll know him well, gets down the wing and puts a ball in. The boy Dalby's been a great signing for them on loan from Wrexham. I know they're looking to try and sign him depending on how much Wrexham want, but I think they've got to give Jim Goodwin, enormous credit. Come up for the Championship. It was the same the year before Dundee come up. I think teams that come up get a wee bounce, and that's why I thought Dundee would struggle this season, was because it was the second season. I think you might see that maybe next season with Dundee United, but no, I think that they deserve to be third place. Nobody would have seen them in third place 6 weeks ago. We've got to talk about Aberdeen, but Dundee United, the last 2 games have 2 last-minute goals, so there's a bit of momentum up at Tannadice as well.
Yeah, it deserves great credit. I still see... I was just going to say, Ruffy, in your day, obviously, it would have been a nightmare if there would have been a long-throw specialist, because obviously you never come for any...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Pre-match, pre-match, you're sitting in there, right, there's a long throw coming in here. All you need is one guy to say, right, that's mine.
Yeah.
Just him. When that long throw comes
that guy's not you, though. What
Oh,
I'm saying
no,
is,
you
you would
get
have turned
hot-
around and
oh,
said, look, Gordon McLean.
Away!
You go into crowded people, you're going to get hurt. There's no doubt. You watch centre halves; they've all got broken noses and cheekbones and everything. But no, I remember if it was Gordon Ray, or the big centre half would say, right, if it's coming in, and I mean it's coming near you, you've got to go for it. But they know they're designated that they've got to go for it.
Which one have you ever gone for?
A couple, there's a couple. 20 years, couple. But I remember talking about long throws. When I was in America, and that Tam will know the razzmatazz, there was a boy who played with Tampa. He used to take a mad run and do a somersault.
Oh, yeah.
And then the momentum of him coming up, he would hurl it right into the box. It was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. But fortunately, somebody was able
Fortunately, it was somebody else. I'm not nominated, that's sure.
Jim Goodwin walking across the Easter Road Park with the cameras on him after being sacked by Aberdeen. Listen, there's a long way to go in the season, as Brendan Rodgers said. It's the halfway point here. But boy, does he deserve credit, because although you get a kick from coming up, you still have to sign good players and you still have to get results, and I think he deserves tremendous credit. They're third in merit.
Yeah, and I have to say, the Dundee United supporters weren't 100% behind the appointment. I think it took him a long while to convince them, and particularly this year he has convinced them with the team that they've got. They're playing good football, they're winning games, they're up there where they hadn't been for a few years. So, no, well done to them, but the last-minute goals must be nerve-wracking, because it's happening quite a lot of times with them, so you take them when they're there, because there's no comeback.
Yeah, Tam, your old team, if they're going to strengthen, it's got to be in the defence. They've got the third poorest record they concede goals.
Yeah, they do. That's been a problem for Dundee all season, because they've got goals in them with Simon Murray, and a couple of the guys have got on loan up there look handy as well. So yeah, I think there's no problem going forward for Dundee. I think defensively they need to. I think Joe Shaughnessy hopefully will be back shortly. I think he's a big miss for them.
They took the boy back for Falkirk.
Yeah, took the boy Ali Graham.
Centre half, they hauled him back.
He's back. I think hopefully Joe Shaughnessy's back, because captain, big, powerful. Would certainly go and put his head on throw-ins, and he's. Once they get him back, I think they'll be okay, Dundee.
Yeah, absolutely. The great thing about most of the people who actually message us on our Facebook and on our Twitter or X and our social media, especially our YouTube feed, is the majority of people who post messages are thoroughly decent people who love their team, love their football, and we are absolutely ecstatic.
Is there a buck coming?
No, there's not. No, I 2025, I've changed tack, Tam. I don't know, do you make New Year's resolutions?
No, not really, no.
Well, I'm 2025, Ruffy, I'm going to try and...
I thought he'd started advertising this year. I thought that was a new thing.
What with the Coca-Cola?
The diet.
Yeah, the Diet Coca-Cola.
I thought the camera was going to go to him there. So all right.
Well, I was going to say to you, no, I'm going to try and be really, this year I'm going to try and be really, really positive and optimistic for the full year. I'm going to try, instead of, as you know, sometimes if people are slightly unruly, although I do think in life, you know, it's better to highlight morons and try and get rid of them so that we get all the really good people here. And the reason I'm saying that, Ruffy, is I'm building up to, as you know, is George Robertson. And George Robertson's just posed something which I think is a point that you and I have got to obviously have a long, hard look at and see what's happening. George Robertson says, are Ruffy's eyebrows in 2 different postcodes? What's happening with it, Ruffy?
It's terrible.
Absolutely
I don't know what it is. It isn't meant to. In fact, when I go for, we know we go to the same hairdressers.
Yeah.
He does my eyebrows before he does my hair.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
When's the last time you done
Well,
them?
so I'll tell you one thing, by the way.
Better them getting mental than coming out your nose, but
Can I tell you something? The worst thing about it, I mean, honestly, if 2 starlings flew out of there, honestly, George, you've hit the nail on the head. His eyebrows are an absolute
I'll make
nightmare.
sure I trim them tonight. I should have. I didn't think they were that bad. But I get his point.
Yeah.
It's a fair point.
Wait for the hairdresser. Don't
Yeah,
trim them on
no.
your own. In case you come in and you
Get them all waxed, Ruffy, and get them
Yeah,
all.
absolutely. Thanks for that, George. It's always good to point these things. We like to, you know, we can take pelters. We can take it.
Is
a bit of
anybody
criticism.
saying about Tom's Botox? No.
No, Tom. No.
Aye. Good skincare.
Do you get
Moisturiser?
Botox?
No, I didn't know.
No. Because, by the way, you know
Honest to God, I don't.
yeah.
If I did, I would say.
you know eventually you'll lose the expression in your face, and then your wife will never be able to tell if you're happy or sad. Anyway, let's crack on. I digress. Okay, now Tam, you know better than anybody. You're on social media. I'm on social media. Obviously, you're still sending telegrams, but the Aberdeen fans have been giving me pelters for suggesting Neil Lennon or Malky Mackay and Jimmy Tully.
you've been waiting for this moment?
I'm waiting for it.
You've been waiting.
No, there's 19 games to go, but I've got the boys who have basically been...
Have you been bookmarking all
I've
the...
been bookmarking all the guys who have been giving me pelters. And obviously Jimmy Tully was the Messiah. I cannot believe what has happened to Aberdeen. You cannot lose to a team that's got the worst record on the road in Ross County.
Yeah, it's a disaster result. It's been a shocking run they're on. I mean, nobody would have foreseen Aberdeen picking up 3 points from 27 after picking up, I think, 32 from 36. I think they went 10 wins and 2 draws, something like that. And I think I said in this show about 7 weeks ago that just give them third the now, which is going to come back and haunt me because they're going to struggling now. But yeah, it's just been a remarkable fall from grace from Aberdeen fans shouting they're going to win the league, and we're looking for second place. You know, they're now in 4th. They've been caught, and you know, from everything the garden been rosy at Aberdeen, now the question's been asked to the manager, which is incredible when you think of how they started. They've got a January window coming up. I'm sure Aberdeen, the board, Dave Cormack will back them. They'll get players in. There's still a lot of those players from the last couple of managers there. He's got a tune out of them initially, but they're maybe reverting back to type now. So I think they've got to get 4 or 5 players in, get some players out, and they have a strong second half of the season. But they're on a shocking run at the minute, Pete. I think 3 draws the last 8 or 9 games, and the rest defeats is a terrible run of form.
Yeah, I did send Kobe, our North East reporter, a text last night saying, would you still be able to cover Aberdeen in the Championship for us next season?
But let's not take anything away from the Ross County goals.
By the way,
Ross County goals.
no, the boy Akio Wright, you know, I mean, he hits an absolute raker. What a goal it was.
Unbelievable. I mean, he just looks up, obviously, the height of it. In the dip, there's nothing to go. I don't know if the second one the boy meant, but if he did, what a strike it was. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I think the second one's a fluke goal.
Yeah, I think he fired it into the box, but I mean, we saw the conditions of it, horrendous.
Yeah, Nisbet's is even a little bit fluky as well because the goalie's had a howler, hasn't he?
Goalkeeper's shocking there. I mean, okay, it's snowy and icy, but you've got to save that. And
I'll tell you one thing. You talked about we were talking about the second goal that eventually, I think Noah Chilvers scores. for Ross County. If you're trying to analyse where it's gone wrong for Aberdeen, I'll tell you where it's gone wrong. I think they've dropped off their work rate. I think the high press has gone. If you watch Ross County's second goal, he's down towards the byline, Tam, and they're still dropping off him. Whereas they were high pressing, they were pushing, they were stopping crosses coming in. I think they've dropped off their work rate.
It's maybe a confidence thing, Peter. I think obviously when things are going well for you, winning games, you're getting after people and you're getting, pressing. I think now, maybe sitting a wee bit deeper, you're maybe a wee bit scared of getting done in behind, or you're scared of losing goals, and it's just a confidence thing. But as I say, Jimmy Tillene's got to sort it out in January. I'm sure there'll be funds up there to bring players in. There's a lot of guys in there. As I said, he got an initial wee bounce out of, but now I think they're looking and going, right, okay, particularly in the striking areas and centre halves, Peter. I think in both boxes they've been poor over the last few weeks, and they've got to sort that out. But I'm still sitting in fourth place. I think they've got to look at it overall. I think if Aberdeen fans, if you'd have said Jimmy Tillene would be sitting in fourth in January, they'd have said okay, fine.
Yeah.
But just the way they started, it's disappointing that they are there at the minute. But listen, the time to judge them at the end of the season, they're still, they're not far off of third place. I think they're on goal difference. If they can start getting a few wins together, then they can go back into third place. But there's a few teams round about them starting to make ground on them. Hibs, for example, Dundee United, and St Mirren, Kilmarnock, winning at the weekend as well. So no, they've dropped off, but there's still plenty of games left.
Yeah, and the other thing sometimes that's not good for us, Ruffy, is we lose certain people along the way. Gary Connor says, can somebody just check on Kaiser? He's been missing in action. I don't know where Kenny is in Los Angeles. He must be in hiding at the moment. A lot of people are worried. Where's Flying Haggis says, where's all the Aberdeen mob for the chap here? Where are they? I think they've gone, Ruffy.
Yeah, but I mean, they were so confident early on, playing good football, winning games. I never noticed, was there many flags at the weekend? Were the flags up in the snow?
I'll tell you what. If somebody asked me to lift the flag up in that weather, the weather was mental up in Aberdeen. Fair play to the guys who managed to get the pitch clean. At Tynecastle, there's a 42-year-old who puts you to shame, by the way. 42,
fantastic.
and he made 2 top-drawer saves. Craig Gordon's just unbelievable.
The second one was just a reflex, but he's got extended arms. I don't know how he does it, and he did save his team, a couple of points in that one. But he's been doing it for a long, long time. Okay, he had a bad goal at Ross County, but conditions were poor. But apart from that, I mean, you can see why they want him to play. Yeah,
just out of curiosity, I mean, Xander Clark will want to play. There was a wee sniff I heard last week. I mean, it was
Hibs.
Yeah, happening. I heard about Hibs. If I was Xander Clark, I'd be turning around and saying, "Listen, I can't argue with you on his form. He's a magnificent goalkeeper. If he's going to play next year, I want to leave."
Yeah, they've got 2 very good goalkeepers, Hearts. Unfortunately, one of them's got to sit on the bench, and Xander Clark, I think, is very good. I think he'd play for Hibs. I think he's better than what Hibs have got at the minute. I don't know if that's just a rumour or whatever, putting two and two together. But
Xander Clark would be in 10 of the top 12 sides as a goalkeeper.
I think he's a very good goalkeeper. He's obviously got great experience at St Johnstone as well, winning trophies there. And initially had a really good spell at Hearts. Obviously lost his position towards the end of last season, and Craig came in. But just depends what Craig Gordon's going to do. Is he going to play on for another year? Is this his last year? Who knows? But certainly Xander Clark is too good to be sitting on a bench in the SPFL.
Yeah, listen, Craig Gordon, absolutely magnificent. Hearts, possibly Jamie McCart joining Hearts on a pre-contract. Whether they're able to get him in the January transfer window remains to be seen. The downside from it all is this is what. Let's hear from the 2 managers on the eventual outcome of this game.
Yeah, gonna give me a heart attack. The group, to be fair, the game should be over, should be finished. We should have been comfortable. And for Craigie producing 2 fantastic saves, we'd have had a Ross County situation again. I was delighted with the performance for 75, 80 minutes. Thought we were excellent.
I think that the scoreline flattered us, to be honest. I felt that our levels were as poor as they've been. 3 major elements, technically, tactically and physically. I just didn't think we were at the races from the first minute.
What?
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. 2 wonderful.
We're live,
Ruffy.
During the interviews as well.
I thought you were. No, we weren't. We were live.
No, well, I don't know when it was
signing.
But where does he come from, Jamie McCart?
Motherwell. Rotherham.
But he's actually, I think it was something like 16. I think he's had 16 starts, but not enough for him in the season. And they've got him on a pre-contract. If they can get him in the
signing,
window,
Peter, I think, 'cause I think
so.
they've lost Kyle Rolls. I think he's going to DC United. I suppose they're getting 600 grand for him from the MLS, the big Australian centre half, which is great going. I think he's a decent player, but that's a good fee for Hearts. And if they can get Jamie McCart and use some of that money, then I think Jamie McCart's a better player anyway.
Yeah. Lennon Miller out for 6 weeks. That's a blow.
It's a blow for the boy.
Yeah.
You know, we've been talking about him all season. You know, would something come in January? Would Rangers or Celtic maybe take a chance on him, being a young boy? But that injury, you know, will be, particularly this time of the year, you know, in the run-in when everybody's talking about him. But well, hopefully it's not as bad as what they're making it out, and he can get back even quicker.
Okay. Killie 2, St Mirren 0. Here's Derek McInnes and Stephen Robinson.
It wasn't without its issues, and obviously we've had to work really hard for the win. That's the last 3 home games now. We've had 3 victories, 3 clean sheets. So we always knew that this little period there was a chance to make some ground, and obviously that's been the case.
Killie didn't beat us today, we beat ourselves. The disappointing aspect is we didn't do the simple things better than them. We spoke tirelessly about it every time you come here. They're a side that do the simples and basics really well, and then have quality when they need to in the final third, and we didn't match up from the first minute.
Okay, you've got to read into what Stephen Robinson mentioned there, and I think he's been really charitable because our man Gogic has decided to take 2 players out, give them 2 penalties, and they lost.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid, Gogic, for St Mirren, but yeah, he had a poor game at the weekend, obviously giving away the penalties, and I just think that, you know, Kilmarnock are very tough to beat. He's right, they're hard to beat at home. They're picking up form now, Kilmarnock. Always thought they would once they get out of Europe and start like a nice run of games. At home, they're difficult to beat. Good result for them. Bruce Anderson, you know, doing well this season, scoring goals.
9 goals.
Yeah, it's decent for him, and they've got some good options there. Kyle Vassell's there, young lad Wales is there, so they've got some decent. Mally Watkins, they've got options, but Anderson seems to be the guy at the minute who's scoring the goals for them. But yeah, that's a good result. It's always a tricky game, a tricky one to call between Derek McInnes and Stephen Robinson, 2 really solid managers. And no, I think Derek McInnes will be delighted to win the last 3 home games without conceding.
You'll never guess who's the manager of the month for December, Ruffy.
Go on.
Oh, so I'm asking, you'll never guess. That's why I asked you the question.
St Mirren.
No.
If you're on a boat, would you sail away?
Yeah, there's a clue. He doesn't know David Gray. He doesn't know
Oh,
David Gray.
I would even know one of his records.
Manager of the month, by the way.
Well, it's 4 wins,
December.
is it? 4 wins, yeah.
4 wins and then 1
Yeah.
draw going into the weekend there. I have to say, you know, when St John's get down to 10 men, you got to win the game, surely.
Yeah, certainly. But it's okay. These like the McInnes going to say, no, it's three wins, 3 shutouts. Any one of these teams in the bottom 6 don't win a game in 2 games are in trouble. If they don't win 2 games, if they lose 2 games, they're back in it again.
But David Gray won 4 in the trot, and now suddenly he's thinking about the top 6. If he had not been in that situation, he could have been sacked.
Yeah, obviously.
You
I mean,
know,
that's why
which is great for him.
You hope managers get a wee rub of the green, because I mean, Tam's been telling us he's a very nice guy. He's very well organised. So you're relying on certain players, you know, to dig him out a hole. I think for me, the 2 people that have dug him out a hole are the Cadden boys. The 2 Cadden boys have been absolutely superb.
Yeah,
you know, so
that's a good point, Ruffy.
It's but you got to beat a 10-man.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, if you were looking at a boy who deserves a wee bit of credit, scored a derby goal, good derby goal, and by the way, I don't know if you watched it, the way that Dwight Gale scores the equaliser, it's coming over his head.
Great finish.
And he finishes it with his less favoured foot.
Yeah, it's just fails it into the corner. You know, it was really, really lovely finish. Didn't try and blast it or burst it, just kind of placed it into the corner. And, you know, I think he spoke about early in the season about maybe his last season, you know, retiring, but the way he's playing now, I don't think he should be retiring. I think they've maybe got a new contract at Hibs. I think they'll be looking to keep him. And he's a great option off the bench. You know he can get goals for you. He scored goals at the highest level. He sniffs it. It wasn't even really a chance. It was a half chance, and he stuck it away. But Ruffy's right. I think Hibs, when Holt gets sent off for, that's a dreadful tackle, really poor tackle. I think for Hibs, you're looking to go and win the game. Big boy Bashiri, he's been excellent in recent weeks. I'm not going to sit here and criticise him, but a crazy decision to pull him down at the corner.
Yeah.
Or throw in, the set play and St Johnstone gets something to hold on to. But I thought the Boyle goal, I thought that was a goal, Peter. I'm still scratching my head as to why. I know Junior Hoylett goes to move towards the ball, but...
Yeah. Is he interfering with play?
I don't think so, Peter.
Does he put the goalkeeper off?
I don't think so, but obviously the officials do. I thought Hibs were hard done by that, but listen, they're 5 games unbeaten and they go into a big game against Rangers on Sunday at home. They're hoping to keep that run going, but it's just good to see Hibs starting to climb the table. Every result went for them at the weekend. I think they're now only 2 points off the top 6, which...
Yeah. What do you make of Ruffy's point about the Cadden brothers?
Both excellent, I've always liked Chris Cadden.
Yeah.
I think he's a really, really solid pro, and his brother's come in and he's been excellent. Great delivering into the box from the other side, 2 full-backs, wing-backs.
You know why they're good, don't you?
Are they from here?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. I just thought I'd tell you.
Newton Hill, Motherwell.
Absolutely.
But I know both of them have been excellent, and Hibs are starting to score goals again.
I come through Newton Hill every day to come here.
Yeah. Thanks for giving away the destinations. By the way, there'll be missile attacks shortly. Are you off your nut?
There's missiles. There's missile attacks every day.
There will be. There will be when your car comes through.
It must be a big place with the amount of footballers that have come out in Newton Hill.
The whole area.
It must be massive.
Well, the thing about it is, what we're taught from an early age is, first of all,
Peter always says he's the best,
go out and work. Well, Gary McAllister, come on. I mean, honestly, you work at an early age on your skills, Ruffy. Your left and your right foot. I mean, it's not exactly difficult football.
There can't be many other places as small as Newton Hill with the amount of players that have come out here.
Yeah, I mean, the whole area of Lanarkshire has been fantastic. Yeah, if you're born in this area, your Jimmy Johnsons, your Bobby Murdocks, your Billy McNeils, if you're born in this area, Ruffy, it's just you're special. It's as simple as that. I can imagine that. Where were you born yourself?
What happened to you?
You born in Knightswood?
Where were you born?
I was born in the Gorbles.
The Gorbles, were you?
Yes, I was
I think we did Did we not do a tribute concert for Ruffy? By the way, here's another one. Dublin's Fair City, that's his tag, it's not his actual name, has said Aberdeen's pre-match firework display has now been replaced with one old geezer waving a light in the air. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, Kobe's taking it in good form. But these are the things that keep the whole thing going, isn't it? And the banter.
Well, it just goes back to what we're talking about. There's not, apart from Rangers and Celtic, there's none of these teams showed any consistency whatsoever in the whole year. None of them. I mean, Aberdeen had a wee bit at the beginning, but after that, they've gone.
I think they had a big bit at the beginning.
But look at the teams that were playing. We read out the teams that were playing.
Still 10 wins and 2 draws for 12.
2 at Celtic.
We're always going to go.
You think so?
Oh, God, always going to go.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. The whole week is dominated this week, and this is the great thing. I think about social media, Tam, and you and I have flicked through TikTok, Instagram, you name it. My mates send me things on WhatsApp, which is fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant when you get the fallout from an Old Firm game where one team wins another one. I mean, I don't know what influences you in your mind, right? But I was flicking through TikTok. And there's a girl in a Rangers top just dancing away, and I'm thinking, at what point do you actually think it's okay just to put the camera on record and post it? But the banter's been absolutely magnificent with it all. The day yesterday belonged to Philippe, Clement, and the Rangers players. And the big question as we get ready for the weekend's games on the Sunday, Hibs against Rangers, it's your mob at Easter Road in form against a Rangers side that must be as high as a kite. They've got to produce.
Yeah, and listen, Hibs have not beat Rangers in a long time. The record's been shocking. Somebody will probably tell me on the feed the last time Hibs beat Rangers. I can't remember. It might have been Boyle's hat-trick under Jack Ross about 3 or 4 years ago, so it's been a long time. Hibs going into it in form, Rangers obviously coming off the back of a fantastic result, but I just think that Rangers this season have been like 2 different teams, very Jekyll and Hyde. I think at home they've been very strong, their home record's excellent, even in Europe, and away from home they've been really poor, so I think if you're Hibs, and I think hopefully Joe Newell and Ellie Youhan are back, and they're at full strength, then you go into this game thinking you can finally, get rid of that hoodoo, because for me Hibs should have beat them at Ibrox earlier in the season, Mikarevic misses a penalty kick. So I think Hibs went it with every opportunity to go and win if they play well.
Yeah, Rangers have just got to come out and show the same intensity, Ruffy. Nothing less than a win. Yeah. Now, at the end of the day, as you know, Gordon Strachan would say this on many an occasion. Walter Smith was a master of it. Forget about analysing some games and looking for the pure football. Rangers just need to go to Easter Road and win the game and hope somewhere along the line somebody does them a turn just to make it interesting.
Yeah, I think Hibs Rangers games have always been exciting games. Great, good for the supporters going along there, and Rangers need to win the game. There's no doubt about it. A draw would just set them back to where anybody who wants to have a go will have a go. So it's a win-win-win all the time for me for Rangers, because we're just round the corner. Every time they do drop points, it's just going to fall back onto Celtic where the league's won and all that stuff. So it's got to be a win.
Yeah.
A draw's not enough.
Win for you?
Yeah, I think they'll beat Hibs, yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
2-0?
Yeah, 2-0. Yeah, okay, I'll go 2-0.
Yeah. What, you're not allowed to have you gone past thinking for yourself because you've picked up an injury?
2-0.
A lot of people will not know on this feed.
Well.
This is your last year of playing any sport, Ruffy, because you're picking up a lot of injuries.
I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what it is. Do you want me to tell you something?
Wear and tear, Ruffy.
Do you want me to tell you what it is, by the way? If you play football, and the people who play sport, who watch the programme and listen to it on the podcast, know that if you play a sport, you've got to play it regularly. But over the course of last year, 2024, you pulled out of that many tennis matches, you've missed some great games, and your bones are getting stiff, and you're picking up stupid injuries, and it looks as if it's all over for you.
Well, it won't be. I'll prove to everybody that it's not all over.
Wheeling him into David Lloyd like Ironside. Brian Potter, Phoenix Knights, with a tennis racket.
Absolutely. Motherwell against Aberdeen at Fir Park, Tam. Just out of curiosity, Hibs Rangers?
2 each.
2 each? Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to go Rangers 2-1. Motherwell against Aberdeen. If Aberdeen, by the way, if Aberdeen lose at Fir Park, and there's a real chance, because Motherwell, I think Stuart Kettlewell's a good manager, and that Motherwell are doing really well. I'm just going to start tagging them, the Aberdeen fans who've been on to me on Twitter. I'm just going to say Neil Lennon's hovering, waiting for a job.
Yeah, listen, Aberdeen are just on a bad run at the minute. The confidence must be really, really low. And that's a tricky one to call. Motherwell were strong at home. They should have beat Rangers the last home game. But
I'm going 2-1 Motherwell.
Yeah, I'll go for a draw. I think Aberdeen can get back on track and get a wee
point. They miss Lennon.
Getting back on track is not a draw.
Yeah, I think Aberdeen will get
a draw.
Lennon Miller's a big miss for Motherwell.
Okay, Celtic against St Mirren, Ruffy. I think Celtic will be hurting. St Mirren obviously disappointed at the way they're playing. I think there's a comfortable 3-0.
Yeah, I think they'll win the game comfortably. It'll be interesting to see what the team selection is. I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be particularly upset with a few of the players, so it needs to be seen what that lineup is.
I know Brendan doesn't like anybody kind of revealing the side before the game, but I've heard a sniff. Latchford, McGrain and Lynch is the opening three. It's just a sniff at the moment.
No, you don't want to fall foul of Celtic. Don't. Again, don't release it. Don't release it. Come on, we're in as much trouble as it is.
Jake will get back in this year, Ruffy.
Yep, I think this is the year.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I've heard that somebody has had a New Year's resolution. let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, absolutely.
3-0 Celtic.
3-0 Celtic. Dundee United against Hearts, the third force.
Yep, Dundee United to win that 2-0.
Yeah, 2-1.
One each.
Okay, Killie against Ross County, Ruffy.
Combe, Kelly. They're on a wee run there now, yeah.
Kelly for me as well, 2-0.
I think Killie will start to make a push for the top six.
I do. I think that their home form is always strong. It's their away form they need to sort out, but yeah, I can see that. Ross County won the last 2 away games, right enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just say something to you? Who would want to be at Perth? Do you want to go up there for PLZ, St Johnstone against Dundee?
It's a Tayside derby. I've played in that fixture. No,
it's not really a Tayside derby, is it?
It is. I don't know. Well, but St Johnstone, I think they're in bother. I think they're in trouble. I think they got a good result, good point at the weekend, but I think they're going to get relegated this season.
5 points down now.
Yeah, it's starting to open a gap now. This is actually a really big game because I've said it all season. I know Tony Dock came in on it. I had a bad feeling about Dundee this season.
You were a bit two-faced to him by
maybe in the playoff. Dundee win this game, they can forget about bottom, and I think they will 2-1.
2-1 for me as well.
3-1 Dundee.
3-1 Dundee at Perth. All right, okay. By the way, Hugh Burns just says, Happy New Year, PLZ Soccer. Thank you very much to so many people who have obviously wished us the very
What's
best.
the goalie doing, Tom? Hugh Burns?
No, it's not him. But it's a lot of people who basically have wished us a Happy New Year. And we'd like to, on behalf of everybody here, if you get a chance, hit the subscribe button. We've got lots of special guests coming up this year. We've got lots of special new programming as well. And over and above that, hopefully you'll hit that subscribe button and join the football family. If you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. Have you made any New Year's resolutions? I'm going to be a softer, more calm, more happy person. Ruffy, what about yourself?
I'm just going to cut my eyebrows a wee bit more often.
This is a good one. Tam, for yourself, going to try and get more expression in the top of your head so Ruffy doesn't...
It's just good skincare, I don't know. Good skin.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
If he's not going to say no as much as he was talking about earlier.
No.
Yeah,
Remember he was thinking about the times he said no to things.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Aye, so he's going
Ruffy,
to
you're
start
going to be
saying
more
yes.
positive. You've got to be more positive, Ruffy.
Got to be like that boy, a vicar of Dibley goes, no, yes.
Yeah, well...
For those who watch Vicar of
yeah, just about to say...
I don't.
Neither do I. Sometimes things are just funny to yourself. Anyway, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Hopefully you will join us. Over the weekend, I can tell you our reporters are out at all the big games in the Scottish Premiership. So make sure you follow us on X, right across Instagram and, of course, TikTok. And on our website, www.plzsoccer.com, you'll get all those stories and in the app as well. So from everybody here on the Football Show, Happy New Year, and we'll see you on Monday for the reaction to the big games.